Let's go to Alexander Downer, another former foreign minister of this great country. He joins us via Skype. Well, I don't want to talk to you about global affairs just at the moment, Alexander. I'm very keen to get your thoughts on this issue of visas from Gaza and the way it's playing out in federal politics. What's your assessment of the issue and the politics?
Well, clearly, given what's happening in Gaza and given that Gaza is controlled by Hamas and if opinion polls are to be any guide, has overwhelming support by the people of Gaza, it's pretty foolhardy to start bringing people in, including on tourist visas, to Australia from Gaza. And you know, to think that someone might be a Hamas supporter, a terrorist supporter, but not actually a terrorist actor, that's okay. Well, I do not think that is okay. We wouldn't take into Australia people who are supporters of Al-Qaeda or whatever it may be, Islamic State. So taking supporters of Hamas is foolhardy. So I mean, I think the Labor Party is making a huge political mistake by making such an issue of this. They attack the opposition, but they themselves, I think, have left themselves extremely vulnerable on the issue of national security. And I think this is an example of an issue they've ridden into, which could prove to be fatal to them at the next election.
Yeah, just on this idea that we could take in people who are rhetorically supporters of Hamas, supporters of a terrorist organisation. We heard this directly from the mouth of the ASIO Director General, Mike Burgess. Now, tell us how this would play out internally in the government. Is he reflecting a security advice there that is one of his own making, or is this a government policy being reflected through him? Because, like you, I'm astounded that we would even consider taking in anybody who offers any support at all for an organisation like Hamas.
Right. Mike Burgess works for the government, so the government answers for what he says. I don't know the background to why he said what he said, whether, claiming that it was all right for people who supported Hamas but weren't directly involved in Hamas to come to Australia. I don't know why he said that. But the government is responsible for it. Ultimately, they are accountable for what he said. So presumably he was mouthing the views of the government. But I put it to viewers tonight, how would you feel if we were bringing in people who said they supported Al-Qaeda? They had a huge respect for Osama bin Laden and all his work. But don't worry, I'm not myself directly involved in Al-Qaeda. That'd be all right, would it? That would not be all right. And it is not all right to be bringing people into Australia who are supporters of a terrorist organisation like Hamas. It is completely unacceptable.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And until we get a change in that ruling, as expressed by Mike Burgess, then nobody can be really confident about national security in this country. Just on that, can you tell us why Egypt and Jordan in particular don't take any refugees or any people fleeing Gaza?
It's exactly this point. They don't want people who support Hamas. So if you're an Egyptian, the Egyptian organisation, the Muslim Brotherhood, a radical Sunni organisation, very powerful in Egypt, which is the sworn enemy of President Sisi and the Egyptian government, a hardcore extremist Islamist organisation is Muslim Brotherhood. Hamas grew out of the Muslim Brotherhood. People need to understand these things. That is why the Egyptians are hugely hostile. The Egyptian government is hugely hostile to Hamas, and ditto for the Jordanians, King Abdullah and the Jordanian government. They are hugely hostile to Hamas. So they will have been delighted to see Hamas leaders being killed by the Israelis. And of course, they don't want to take Hamas supporters, Muslim Brotherhood supporters, into their countries any more than they already have. I mean, it's common sense. And why the Australian government thinks it's all right, Australia on the other side of the world thinks this is all right, but the Egyptian and Jordanian governments don't. It's beyond me.
Yeah, indeed, Alexander. Thanks so much for that insight and context. I appreciate it.